What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. After Sound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. All right, guys, what is going on? We have another governance proposal. This is coming in from Yabba Matt on his alt account here, yabbapmat.sps, where this is the place where he's been throwing all of the proposals that we've recently gotten from him. Now, this is a pre-proposal to discuss the Soulbound reward card usage on land and the requirement of a DEC burn for those Soulbound reward cards. Now, I've been talking about this for a while. I made a video a little while back. I am a big proponent of this being handled or taken care of. But when we talk about what the actual proposal is putting in, I'm flexible. I know that we talked about this on the live stream today. I don't necessarily need to see it in this way, but I do think that the issue of Soulbound reward cards on land should be addressed. So I'm glad that Matt is putting something up to it. As of now, it is passing in the pre-proposal stage. I believe it's already passed and will be going to a main proposal. But let's go ahead and just cover the basics here. Essentially, I'm not going to read this whole thing to you, but the idea behind this is to charge a cost or require DEC to be burned in order to have Soulbound reward cards usable on land. Now, the burn, the burn requirement is going to be 2x the CP or the burn level for cards. So for common reward cards, or for common cards in general, within the Chaos set, that's 5 DEC is the burn value or the collection power. So if you're going to do 1 BCX of that, you can see here, this is now being called a manifestation cost, and it'll be 10 DEC or DECB. Whoops. All right, there we go. 10 DEC or DECB. Now, you go all the way up to Legendary, it's going to be the same thing. 500 DEC goes up to 1,000. And there's usually a bonus for max level CP. That is not being counted. So it's just going to be 2x of whatever the collection power is, whether the card is regular foil or gold, whether it's common, all the way up through Legendary. So you can see here that there could be significant amounts of DEC burned in order to use, especially like some of the gold foil legendaries, because just a single BCX of those is going to be significant, right? 25,000 DEC. So here is the important part, though. Please note that this does not mean that cards will become unsoulbound or transferable. This cost will only allow the cards to be worked on land. However, it will be applied to the cost to make sure that in the future, if cards become unsoulbound or transferable, you will be able to essentially take away this cost. So here's the thing, and this is an important part. If in the future cards cost 2x the CP or less to make them transferable, then any cards for which this amount has been paid will automatically become transferable. If it ends up being more, then the cost is just going to be deducted from that. So let's say in the future, in order to make them fully unlockable, it's like 3x the burn cost. Well, now you've already paid 2x that, so you'd only need to pay 1x more. Now, here's the thing. I'm a fan of this. I think it will lead to a lot of DEC burning, hopefully. And if this is the only way that we can get something, I will vote for it. And I have voted for it, at least in the pre-proposal stage. I understand a lot of folks are feeling a little frustrated with the way that this comes off. It's a little expensive, especially for a single gold foil legendary, it's 25,000 DEC. That's roughly $25 US at peg. But ultimately, I think that it needs to be more. Now, what's missing from this is what will be the additional costs for when these cards actually become unlockable or transferable or unsoulbound. And I think that's where a lot of the frustration lies. People don't like the uncertainty for the future. And it's like, if I'm going to pay this cost now, but I can only use it on land, and then I'm going to have to pay more in the future, that kind of sucks. And I'm not going to disagree with you. I mean, we live in a lot of uncertainty within everything within this game. So having things locked down sooner rather than later is always great, even though a lot of that ultimately becomes like subject to change, including this, right? So it's like, we're going to make this decision now on how much it'll cost to use these cards on land, but we're going to hold off on what the cost to actually make them unlockable will be for a later time. If we were to make that decision now, I would be okay with it. And as I've said, my basics, my minimum value is burn value plus a voucher for any, doesn't matter how many BCX per card, not per BCX. So when you look at this, it's like, okay, I'm actually happy with this. This is 2 times the burn value for land. But if and when they become unlockable, or I should say when they become unlockable or transferable, I really want vouchers to be added into the mix there. Now, that's just me. That's my hope. And I hope we get to see that. But if we don't have that information now, I think a lot of people will become hesitant or maybe even vote against it because, well, we just want a little bit more clarity. And I think that's actually a possibility. As I was saying on the not the town hall, but on my live stream earlier today, if people wanted to amend this, right, and or even take it down, if Matt was willing to take it down, spend the next 2 to 3 weeks, because we know land isn't coming, land isn't coming next week or in the next 2-3 weeks. If anything, what they said is by the end of the age, which is August 2nd, and I think even that might be in doubt at this point. But you give like 2-3 weeks for us to, or for the team to kind of think through long term what they want the cost to be, and then we come back, do a post on it or a proposal on it that has not just the usability on land, but when they become unlockable, how much will they cost? Right. So maybe we won't be able to come up with that info now, but I'm sure Matt has to have an idea. And as I've said, as long as it requires a voucher and burn value, I'm actually good with it. So that's kind of where my head is at on this. I'm voting for it as of now, but I'm open to it being amended and really just clarified a little bit more, or a little bit further, in order to make people feel comfortable. I am one of those people that doesn't think or that thinks like Soulbound reward cards could be another coming of ghost cards in many ways. And I just want to make sure they don't get exploited, because I know that they already are in anticipation of land. So that's where my head's at. You can go down here, and I think the other interesting thing to take out away from this, Matt puts in a couple paragraphs here for the reason for the proposed change. And let's see here. So I thought it'd be fine to allow Soulbound cards to be used as workers on land without any burning of DEC, because each player account has a relatively small number of Soulbound reward cards. It has since been brought to my attention that users with large numbers of accounts, all separately earning Soulbound reward cards, would simply need to split up their land plots. So this is happening. I know the team has some insight to it as well. So this is what they're looking at, and they're trying to avoid another exploit here. One of the main purposes of the Secret of Praetoria land expansion was to provide additional utility for the card NFTs and to quote-unquote soak up the huge amount of non-Soulbound reward cards and Chaos Legion cards that had flooded the ecosystem over the past year or two. Now, somebody pointed out to this and said, oh, the team's finally admitting that they minted too many cards, right? So additionally, the reward cards were changed to Soulbound to avoid a similar flood of easily farmable cards going forward. Therefore, if we allow Soulbound cards to be used on land with no additional cost, they will negate the benefits intended from land. So here's some interesting numbers. To provide some context, there are currently 32 million BCX of Soulbound reward cards in existence, and I expect that number will double over the next 5 months to 64 million. That is more than all of Chaos Legion, which is at about 47 million BCX. Now, I'm assuming he means Chaos Legion currently, and there's still like 3 million packs that aren't open, but it's more than what we have in Chaos Legion already, which is way more than is required for the current player base. Quickly approaching the previous reward set, which was, this is another part. The previous reward set, which was massively overprinted and still hurting the economy at 83 million total BCX. So, it's one of those things where there were some bumps along the way, some massive or major bumps along the way. I'm glad the team is recognizing that now and trying to make amends. I'm one of those people that does not think that land is going to be enough, but at the very least, we should make it so that Soulbound reward cards can't be exploited and used on land. I want land to be enough. I'm just saying that with the numbers that we have and the numbers that they've presented here, it doesn't seem like it will be, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that I'm wrong. So that's kind of where I'm at with this. Let me know your thoughts on this. I know I talked to a couple folks on the live stream today, but I'm curious to get the rest of the community's input on it. As of now, like I said, it looks like it's passing, so we'll be going to a main vote. But if you are strongly against it, I would love to know the reasons why, and we can discuss further in the comments. But that is all I have. Have an amazing rest of your day. I'll catch you all in the next video and see you around the game. Take care.